Hello everyone and welcome to Access Query Lab 2. To get started with this lab you need two files. You need query2 instructions file and you need query2 starting file. I will go ahead and open both files side by side as you can see here. Items you expect to learn in this lab: you will create advanced query, you will use parameter query, you will create multiple queries and then create calculated fields. So going down here to the instructions, it says open query2 starting file. We already have it open here. You should open it as well and then save the database as query2. So I will go ahead and click on file, save as, and then save as. Make sure that you save it in a place where you save your solutions and you save it as query2 without starting file, and then click on save. Click enable editing so you can start editing the database. So do you remember what happened in the first query that we finished last time? Your last customer inquired about buying a Toyota Yaris, right? Do you remember? Okay, good. Now you have another customer coming to you in your store or in your company asking you for a Nissan Skyline. So rather than changing the criteria for every customer, we are going to make something that is called parameter query. What is a parameter query? It is a type of select query. How can we create a parameter query? So let's go ahead and get started. So you need to make a copy of query unsold cars here. You right click on it and then you choose copy, and then you click on paste or right click and choose paste. And when you paste it, it will ask you to give it a name, and you need to call it QRI select car, and then click OK. Open select car in design view. So you need to, here is query select car. To open it in design view, you can right click on it and then choose design view, or you double click, it will open in datasheet view and then change the view to design view. So now I have it in design view. As you see, it changed the criteria for make so that instead of showing Toyota, it shows what make. So for make here, instead of showing Toyota, you will put between square brackets, you will type what make and then question mark. So let me test it first. Do you see what make? And then if I type Toyota and then click OK, it will give me all of the Toyotas. Now I will go back to the design view. Let's continue. I'm testing. I'm not asking you to do that, but I'm doing it to verify that my query is working fine. Now it changed the criteria for model so that instead of showing Yaris, it shows what model. So I will remove Yaris from here and then I will put between square brackets what model and then question mark. Are we good on this one? So now let's run it again. So what make Toyota, and then click enter, press enter or click OK. What model? Yaris, and then click on OK. Perfect, running. My query is running. Going back here, run the query again and enter Nissan for make. So I will type Nissan this time. So do you see the power of a parameter query? So what is a parameter query? You should be able to define now what is a parameter query, and then click on OK, and then Skyline for model, and then click on OK. Now look at the query. Very nice. So basically, if I go back to the design view here, my query should look as depicted in the instructions. It says here, save and close query select car. So you click on save and then right click on it and then choose close. Create a query that shows the customer first name and last name and the car price for all the cars that have been sold. How do we do that? Let's start step by step. It says create a query design. So you will go to create and then click on query design. You will select, if you have the first one selected, you press Control, select the second one, keep holding Control and then select the third one and then click add, or you can add them one by one individually. So now I have all of the tables with the relationship showing, because we already created that relationship before. Do you remember? So now what do I need? Add all three tables and close the show table dialog. We already did that. So let's go ahead and move to the next one. Double click or drag the fields for first name. Look, you can click on it and then drag it and just let it go. Same thing. Last name, price, where is price? If you don't see the fields, you need to move the tables around so you can see here price. Double click on price. What else? And sold. So now I will move this to the side here and then expand this one. I have sold here. It changed the criteria for sold to yes. So I will come to yes here. I will come to sold beside criteria for the sold field. I will type yes and then run the query. So I will go ahead and run the query. So now I have the first name, last name, price, sold. Look at this last name. I have a blank last name. So keep that in mind because we will change that. So I will go back to design view. We already ran the query. Save the query with, no, 1 second. Yes, run the query. Okay, save the query with the name query sold. So you click on save and then QRY sold and then click on OK. So that's the query that we have. Sort the query sold result in descending order of price. So we need to make sure that we sort it in descending order. So that will, look, if I run it, it shows the most expensive cars first. Now go back to design view. Your final query grid should look like this image here. We are doing very good. Continue working. Create a calculated field to combine first name and last name into a single field. How? By combining last name followed by a comma followed by first name. So now call the new combined field. So basically here are my fields in the grid. I will go to a new field and then create a field that's called full name. Alright, and then put colon space to indicate that this is a calculated field and it should not be found in any other table, right? And now I need to input a formula or a function. There is a function in Access that's called the F function. So in this F function, I am saying if the last name is blank or is null. Null means that you don't have a value for the last name. Do you remember when we ran the query the first time? There was one last name that was empty. So now I am creating a function here. This function, it's called the if function. IIF, and then you open parentheses, and then you start calling another function. What is the second one? Is called is null. So now I have a function inside a function. What is the first one? If. The second one, I'm checking the value of last name. If the value of the last name is null, which means I don't have anything in it, empty. So I need to put my testing condition for is null. So I need to open and close parentheses and then put last name, because that's my testing condition. If that's true, you will put a comma so you can add a value of what your full name should look like. Your full name should look like, you put quote and then type blank and then close your quote. You concatenate, you add something to it. How do you add something? By using the ampersand. You can concatenate what? Comma. So you will put quote and then comma, space, close your quote. That's wonderful. You concatenate something else. What do you want to add to the last name? You need to add first name. So I will put, instead of comma this time, since this is a field name, you put the field name in between square brackets. So I will open close square bracket and then put first name. Now I will get out of the square bracket and then put comma, and then this is if the is null is true. You will change the last name to blank and add to it comma and then add the first name. What if it is false? What if it is not null? So in this scenario, you will add the last name. So last name is a field, so I don't put it in between quotation, I will put it between brackets. So I will add, in this scenario here, it says last name, and then you get out of the brackets and then you concatenate that. You put the ampersand and then open quote, comma, space, close your quote, and then another ampersand. You add what? You add first name, and that should be in between square brackets, first name, and then you come all the way at the end and then you close your parentheses. So let me press shift F2, that will open the zoom. So if you press shift and F2 while you are adding a function in the grid, in the query grid, you should have a bigger screen here so you can look at the entire function. So I am creating a new field that is called full name, adding colon. I'm using the if function. I have a condition. The condition is if the value of last name is empty, add the word or add the text blank using the ampersand, and then do you see here I have blank surrounded by quotation. And that's the beauty of Zoom. Let's look at the instruction. The comma after blank here has double quotes before it, and or actually quotation before it and quotation at the end of it. So I need to come here and put quotation, and then space. I am missing what? I'm missing the ampersand. So I will put ampersand, first name, right? And then comma. Last name, that's the field, ampersand, comma, between quotation, ampersand, I could concatenate or add to that first name. I will click on OK. And now let's cross our fingers and try to run that. Will it work? Whoa, 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 whoa. That is wonderful. And look what we have in here. Let's expand that. Let's double click on the full name so you can see what is happening. Do you see blank? Why? Because in the original table, this user or this customer does not have a last name. This is great. This is great. Okay, if you did not get that, rewind the video and watch it one more time, and that will show you. So I will leave it here. Let me convert to go to which table? The customer table, and look at that last name. Do you see what is happening? I will let you look at it for a minute. So basically this query is called what? Is called query sold. And then after you run it and make sure that everything is working fine, I don't need this one here, so I will close it. It says here make a copy of query sold. So I will close it first and then make sure that you save it. To make a copy of query sold, does anyone remember? You can click on it and then press Ctrl C and then press Ctrl V. Same thing. Give the copy a name of query full name. So QRY full name, and then click OK. And then you need to open query full name in design view. Where is query full name? Here, right click on it and then choose design view. Let me check to see. Yes, I have full name here. Perfect. Now you know how to create a function in Excel. Very complicated function, but you can do it. You can do it. Now I will ask you a question. How can I bring the zoom dialog box? Does anyone remember? Yes, you're right. Shift F2. Remember that. I will ask you questions while I'm going through the lab, and all of these questions, expect them in the quizzes and the final exam. So we already made a copy. We opened the query full name in design view. We need to replace last name field with a calculated field as giving above. So I need to go to last name, so we will go to last name, and then we need to complete or add the function that you added in number 15. So someone might, if you already did it correct, but I highly encourage you to manually enter the function. but we already did that in here. We already created here. So I need you to, if I go to Shift F2, that will open the zoom. This is the function. I will copy it from here, and then I will come all the way to last name, and then I will add this function. I don't need a table here. Once I click on it, it disappears. Now what do I need to do next? Delete first name. So you need to select first name and then press delete, and then go all the way at the end here and delete also full name that you already created before. So now you know how to create, delete and create calculated fields. Run query full name. When you run it, running wonderful. I have full name, price, and sold. Then after you run, you need to go back to design view. Now for calculation using numbers, use the usual arithmetic operators like plus sign, minus, asterisk, or multiplication and division. But don't try to include any text or text fields. So let's look at one of the instructions. It says here to calculate the profit at 10% of the selling price. So you need to use this calculated field here. So can anyone tell me what is profit? Yes, you're right, that's the name of the field. What is price? That is the field that is used for our calculation. So that is going to be the caption of the field. This is the field that will be used for calculation, multiplied by 10%. So basically you need to add another field at the end as shown in the image here, and then you will type profit colon space price multiplied by 10% to show the profit made on each sale as depicted in the image. Run. It says here profit is not a valid name. Make sure it doesn't include any invalid character or punctuation. So that's why I told you make sure that you type it. So I will go ahead and type profit. So sometimes when you copy and paste, Word will give you special characters that Access doesn't recognize. So and then colon, open close square brackets, and then between the square brackets I will put price, and then I go out of the square brackets and then I multiply that by 0.1. Now let's go ahead and run it one more time. Okay, can anyone guess what? Alright, so here is what I did to fix this issue here. It was because we had something before in this field. Do you remember? Full name. So basically what I did, I copied or I selected the entire field and then right click and then cut, right? And then I started all over again. Profit, do it step by step, or you can shift F2 to go to the zoom, and then profit colon space, and then in between square brackets you type the field name that will be included in the calculation, get out of the square brackets, and then multiply that by 0.1, which is 10%, and then click OK, and then run, and now it's working. Hey, perfect, we are doing wonderful. Run the query, save it, and close it. So you need to save and then close it, and basically you need to submit that to Blackboard. I hope you did learn a lot this session. I know we covered many new things, but we are advancing very well. So keep the hard work, and I will see you in the future. Bye bye everyone.